Hello, this is the critique of the informative speech for the COMM 101 80N class. And first I want to talk to you because the speeches overall this time, the quality slipped. Overall, they were not as good as you've been doing. Speeches should be going up as you get better about what it is you're doing in this class, and unfortunately that's not what happened in this case. There were a fair number of C's in this speech, and let's talk a little bit about it. Number one, the informative speech is to inform your audience about some defined aspect of a person, thing, event, idea. Do not give another process speech. It says that, all right? So the purpose of the process speech, or the purpose of the informative speech, is so that the audience will understand why something is happening, that the audience will understand the benefits of something, that the audience will understand the causes and effects, and it mentions overweight and diabetes too, that the audience will be aware of theories of aging, and the audience will be aware of the history of something like the Vietnam Memorial. All right, the speech was to have a message that was clear, a message that avoided jargon, that was accurate in research, and that it ran between 4 and 7 minutes, and that it required you to have 2 outlines. That's still a killer for a lot of people, and still it looks like some of you have never looked at the examples in your textbook of what a speech is supposed to look like. An outline is what an outline is supposed to look like, and as a result, we're getting that all messed up. All right, you also needed to have at least one visual. Now, we've gone over this in the past, and I'm not going to repeat it again. You're going to suffer greatly. The visual is something you show your audience. You can reference it. There is my visual. This is my visual. Send me a copy of the visual. If it's PowerPoints, send me a copy of the PowerPoints. I don't want the camera to go off of you. I want this shot exclusively. Now, I have said this in every single speech you've done. This is the only shot I want to see. If you use a visual, reference the visual in your speech as you would if I was watching the speech, but send me a copy of the visuals so I can look at them to make sure that they meet the requirements. Another thing is that you needed at least 3 sources in this speech. Just a caution on sources. You can't say I got this from the CBS, that's a bad one, CTS website. So what is CTS? How good are they? How accurate are they? What do they do? Why did you choose that website? Folks, it's not for you to go out and find some obscure website so you can cite a source. The idea is this forwards the purpose of your speech. So let's get involved in how you did. We're using fantasy names only. Michael, you did not submit a speech. That's a fantasy name, by the way. Beecher, I sent you a message. You not only failed to, you failed to put in a description of your speech, you failed to complete step 2 of the self-review, and then you failed to hit the submit button, and as a result, I can't see your speech. It's there. I confirmed it's there with the Connect people, but until you do something all the way through, then I can't see the speech. And given the fact this is not the first speech you've uplinked, I'm wondering how this is happening now. I have no idea. All right, golf. You talked about dry skin. I'm not sure how many people are concerned or worry about that. It sure is not. If I saw a billboard somewhere that said somebody's going to be talking about this and somebody's going to be talking about this and somebody's going to be talking about dry skin, oh, yeah, dry skin. Yeah, okay. If I have dry skin, I might be interested. But if you don't, why would you go and listen to a presentation on dry skin? Folks, pick topics that people have an interest in. All right? That's crucial. You said something about your skin needs to be itched, whatever that means. You lost your audience in the first 60 seconds. This speech did not flow well. At the end, you come alive visually and vocally, but through the speech, it was just like a pain. I don't know. You got to do this. Now it's a speech at the end, but it's over. So I have no idea what was going on there. There are times when you get lost in your own speech. That's just not acceptable. All right, Root Weevil. You spoke about Glock guns. You understand that you probably, except for visuals, would not be able to do that speech in class. All right, number one, work on energy and flow. Energy and flow, you're going to hear that a lot. If you're going to be talking in a speech situation and you have the excitement of a snail moving in a fish tank, it isn't even very visual, let alone very interesting. You've got to have energy. You want me to pay attention to you? Then you help me by being energetic about what you're doing. You seem to get lost in your own, at times, in your own speech. You need to be, do something that commands attention. You make it too easy to tune out of what you're saying. You make it very hard to follow what you're talking about. You gave too many numbers without an explanation. 383 to 384. I have no idea what that means. And you have no visuals, even though you attached a visual. Folks, you got to reference the visual in your speech. Don't just attach it. All right, this next person is Hunter. You talked about running the bulls. You need to get a much stronger opening. What's your credibility in this? Have you done it? Make sure you get that up in front. Label your outlines. Try to look a little bit excited or at least impressed about the topic. And it sounds like you're doing some kind of a boring college lecture. All right, next up is Hoosier. You spoke about Taylor Swift. Why? You know, I watched this a couple of times because it wasn't making any sense. You showed an overly large picture of Taylor Swift. It dominated the entire visual. Totally wrong visual. You're way up here somewhere, but all I can look at is Taylor Swift because she was so big on the screen by where you were standing. Here's the problem. I watched it twice because I couldn't believe that all you were doing was reciting fact after fact after fact after fact after fact about Taylor Swift. I don't care how many albums she's done if I'm not a fan. I don't care where she went to school. I don't care when she changed the color of her hair. Whatever you talked about. It was boring. Now, at the very beginning, you mentioned something. You showed an Ellen DeGeneres clip, and then at the very end, you said something. And what I really wonder about is, was your speech really about bullying? If it was, boy, I never would have gotten that on a first glance. You made some points in terms of, one of the things she said on the DeGeneres show was the rest of the people in her class would ignore her and not have them in her group, and she didn't mind because she could write a song about it. And then something at the end said, and I got to think, maybe you meant to do something on bullying, using Taylor Swift as an example as somebody who was bullied. It was all disconnect. All right, you had the wrong shot because of how big Taylor Swift was on there. The wrong shot is not the reason you get a low grade in the speech. The wrong shot is a huge contributing factor because how many times do I have to tell you, this shot right here is the only shot I want to see. Send me a picture of Taylor Swift. Your audience can have a monitor somewhere off to the side where you're showing the picture. That's fine. All right. The majority of your video has the picture of Taylor Swift in it. You need to work on your energy. Even you sound disinterested. You are just reciting facts. Tell me facts, not fights. Tell me a story. Listing her songs and her releases is not a story. You have little vocal variety. You did not even suggest why anyone but you ought to be interested in this topic. It's hard to hear you at times and understand your words. You swallow words at the end of sentences. A lot of the time, you have no variety in your pace, your pitch, your volume, or your tone. And as I said on here, what was this really about? Was it about bullying? All right, next up is Birdie. You talked about roller derby. Okay. Nice style to what you did. Work on the flow. There's only one outline in what you did. You need to cite your sources as you use them. This was too detailed without visuals. It's be like us listening to an Englishman explain how you play cricket. You know, if you don't know roller derby, if you've never seen roller derby, and you try to explain it to somebody who has no concept about what it is, it gets terribly, terribly hard. All right, you have no visuals used in your speech, and you reference them, but you didn't do anything with them, and you have a slight tisk. Next up is star. In star, you talked about diamonds. You had great outlines. You have dark pictures. You need to amp up your energy, and you need to get some vocal variety. Your flow suggests boring. Show interest and enthusiasm in what you're talking about. And why do people attach such importance to diamonds? You never explained that. Next up is Buddy. Buddy, you talked about tornadoes, and there was only one outline, and it was not labeled. And there are lots of long pauses. You have the wrong camera shot. Watch the hair flips when you're talking. You didn't send me the video address for what you had. You need energy. You're reading way too much. Your gestures get confusing. Also, your motions are off in what you're trying to do, and your explanation is too detailed and too complicated. All right, I am going to go here very briefly and explain a couple of things about your persuasive speech. Number one, you cannot, listen carefully, you cannot do a topic you have already done, period. Anything related. If you talked about healthcare, nothing about health can be used in your persuasive speech. All right, persuasive speeches deal with a question of policy that a specific course of action should be taken. You must persuade the audience, okay? You can't just lay out a bunch of facts like you would in an informative speech. You have to persuade me. You have to move me to your side. All right, make sure you do that. You have 7 to 9 minutes for the length of your speech. You have a speaking outline and a preparation outline that you must have. You need at least one visual aid. Remember what I told you? Send me a copy of the visual aid or the address if it's a video visual aid. Do not change this shot right here for any reason. You need 4 sources. 4. Count them. 4 sources. Make sure that they give the citation in great detail when you're doing your sources. All right. A persuasive speech is not an easy speech to give. You can talk to me about donating blood. All right, fine. People should donate blood. That's not a persuasive speech because, number one, why don't people do it if they're supposed to do it? How come most of them don't? What about religions that don't agree with it? What about people that won't accept blood? What about, is there a profit margin in there? Sure, you go and give it free to the Red Cross. You go to the hospital, they have blood. Did you get it free? Well, did the hospital get it free from the Red Cross? What's the dollar value in exchange? Follow the money. What's it cost for a pint of blood? Those people that come and take the blood, they're not there by themselves. There's a bunch of people there. It costs them money to collect the blood. They got to get something back. How do they do that? So, you know, and what are the reasons people don't give blood in the first place? Are they afraid of needles? Are they don't like the sight of blood? Explain what they need to do to overcome that if they want to give blood. And what about people who have injuries that won't accept blood? And what about people who have serious medical problems like a hemophiliac? How do they deal with blood? Okay, I already talked to a member of the class about that, so that's why it sounds canned. You've got to do the best job you have ever done because this speech is a very, very important speech that gets you a lot of points in the class. A fair number of you still have not turned in the speaker critique. Folks, you're leaving points on the table. One of the people this week complained about getting a bad grade on the speech, and this is a person that has left 98 points on the table. Didn't take 2 of the tests, hasn't done some of the discussion boards in full. 98 points. Folks, in the way you look at it, that's a full letter grade. You want to complain about the grade you're getting, then make sure you're doing everything you can to get the best grade possible. All right, I'm going to be posting the grades in Excel, so take a look for that, and we'll talk to you next time.